Oh, shit. I did not want to record this today, but here we are. This is the Red and White Podcast, and this is the raw reaction from Evan. My co-host is out somewhere in the country, but he has emailed me a statement, and I'll just go ahead and read it. We just got bukakied. I hate to say, but I told you so, but the defense is trash. I said the OC change wasn't the issue. Defensive coordinator should have been the change, and I think a lot of people agree with that at this point. He also goes on to say, offense can be okay, I guess. Told you in the stadium last week that I wanted to see the run. Did BS plays in the first quarter and established no run. Turned around second quarter, but it was more simply they're making more than they're making it. All that motion and shit led to penalties that weren't necessary. We can hate on Dave Dorn, but who do we get? And that's probably the most valid point of his statement. Matt Canada did motion and all that stuff too. So I kind of disagree with him there, but the defense, I don't know. I expected ECU to score. I'm not sure the defense didn't help our situation, I guess. I mean, I feel like we're more talented. I said it beforehand. I feel like we're more talented, but we still didn't show it. And that's the frustrating part. I think that's why, God forbid, if you're on Twitter and you're reading anything, everybody's reaction is just the frustration level. It's over the top. And that's just because everybody feels like we are. We feel like we're a more talented team, but we just got out-coached. And you can put it on Dave Dorn. That was just unexplainable. You can't make up some of those things. So the fake field goal, I know A.J. Cole, and this is what we're going to hear later in the week. I know A.J. Cole was an all-state quarterback, option quarterback. But running that in that situation, I don't know. Taking the points off the board, and then the fake to the tight end, the third string tight end on the 2-point conversion, and he drops it, and God knows what could have happened there. The missed field goals happen. I know it sucks, but that's not necessarily what I'm upset about. It sucks not having a kicker, but those other situations where you're basically taking points off the board. It was a 3-point game. I'm sure anybody can pick apart, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, that we left out there. We just didn't take advantage of. And I think that's frustration. I think this entire game is on Dave Dorn and the coaching staff. Now, maybe he downplayed the game too much. I don't think that's the case. They just weren't prepared. And it was just questionable all around. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I think everybody else doesn't get it either. But as Dustin says, if you fire Dorn, who do you get? And I don't want to fire Dorn. There's still 10 games left. But I think, the process, at some point the conversation's got to be had. Debbie's not firing him because that's her guy, right? Steven from Back in the Pack, he just had a good tweet. I'm going to read it real quick. That Debbie's not going to bail on Dave Dorn because that's her guy, but at some point we have to realize it's not working. And he's right. The hard part is that if you look at the talent and what they're building, you feel like they're doing the right way, but it's getting awful hard to defend him right now. And I know it's only one game. But man, it stinks. It sucks. It's awful. It's awful because the ECU fans that you don't hear from for 3 years magically start text messaging you. Hey, how about that game? How about our Super Bowl, right? And just, coming out of the woodwork. We probably won't hear from them again until basketball season when Carolina starts playing again. But that's the frustrating part. And I think that's it. I think everybody's just frustrated with it. The reaction now probably won't be much different than tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be a little bit more calm, a little tamer, but you're still going to see the frustration because you don't feel like you should lose that game. And I don't feel like we should have lost that game. We got out-coached by a first-year coach. Let that sink in for a minute. A first-year coach? Guy, he's never been a head coach before. And his team was more prepared. The first quarter, their defense played excellent. And they looked like they knew what they were doing. And we didn't make the plays. We didn't coach them up down the stretch. And I think that's embarrassing. Man. I don't know. I'm not sure. I had a game plan. I was just hoping I didn't have to record this one, right? This reaction. Because I feel like everybody else's frustration right now. It's like, it's going to, like, you know it's going to happen, right? In the back of your mind, you're like, damn, this game doesn't set up well for us. But this is the year, right? This is the year we're going to go down there. We're going to play better. We're a better team. It's a first-year coach. And then that happens. It's one of the ugliest games I've watched in a long time. It was awful. It's just, man, I don't get it at all. And sorry, I need to check my mic levels. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody else, I don't want to go through another coaching search. I really don't. I really want Dave Doran and his staff to be the guy, but God bless, they're becoming harder to defend. I don't know how to defend it anymore. Like, I can't defend the game. That was a frustrating part, and I'm sure that's why he's frustrated. And if you listen to his extremely brief post game with Tony Haynes, I wrote down this quote. I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. That was essentially how he answered Tony Haynes' 3 questions, and then he walked off. I mean, he's frustrated too, right? Everybody's frustrated. And it's tough. I mean, it wasn't all bad, I guess, if I'm going to look at some of the things. I mean, the slow start. I thought ECU's defense played really well early. I think our offense played a little conservative. And we, frankly, our offensive line got beat early, but I think they shorted up. In the end, the offensive line was actually pretty good today. And I'm not sure I can go back and rewatch this game, so excuse me for my rough analysis later in the week when we record with Dustin. But I thought the offensive line was okay, and the wide receivers weren't getting open. I think that's part of the problem. I don't know if they're not good enough to get open. The play calls weren't getting them open. Something wasn't working. You saw Finley look around. He was checking off guys left and right, and we weren't able to really get it going. He had some nice throws. He had some bad ones, but I don't think he played awful. And just the guys weren't open. And that's tough. I mean, they scored 30. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay these days, but I know everybody's going to point to is the defense. And without the numbers in front of me, and I don't really want to look at them right now anyway, that the defense had its moments, right? The problem was, I think, more of the scheme, and I think it's the coaching. I think our defensive line played pretty well for the most part, but we're relying on them way too much. You're relying on those 4 to make plays, the front 4, all the time. They're not, they weren't bringing many blitzes. They weren't changing up the schemes. Now, I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is, but you could see it. If the front 4 didn't get any pressure, Nelson had time, and the guys were just getting open in that soft zone defense they're playing in the backfield. We talked about it last week too. I hate that zone defense. I hate the way our secondary plays. They play soft. They don't play that man coverage. And when we don't get pressure up front, it's easy for them. They drove right down the field several times. ECU gave us every opportunity to win that game, and we lost. They lost it in embarrassing fashion. I don't know. I can't even, bring myself to comprehend what just happened. I don't think ECU was playing great. There was a tweet from one of the WRL guys, cameraman maybe, I'm not sure. And it said, heard scream just outside of the N68 locker room, no more missed opportunities. So they knew they should be smoking these guys, right? They knew they should be winning, and they were just blowing it in the first half. This was at halftime. And they didn't do it. I mean, it was awful. And it was so frustrating. Yeah, and then, Watch ESPN went down for pretty much the entire second quarter, so I was only listening to it on the radio, which I know people were frustrated with too. I think, the defense, right? I'm going back to the defense, and everybody's going to be putting this one on Huxtable, and for good reason. But, our defense had 10 tackles for loss going into the fourth quarter. I think that's pretty good. But there was no consistency to it. I think that's the problem. There's no consistency to the defense and getting the pressure and making plays, getting turnovers. Tocho, right? He had a great pick. It was a great pick, right? He was blanketed over Zay Jones, who's a fantastic receiver. We've already talked about him. Just blanketed over him, made a great pick, great coverage. But then he's playing soft zone half the other time, right? And guys are getting 10, 15 yards in front of him. He should have probably had a pick in the first quarter, I believe. And he missed it, and I think he was frustrated with himself there. But, man, the defensive scheme, it makes you wonder if Coach Doran's going to, I don't know. Huxtable better watch his back. That's all I can say, I guess. And you don't know what's going to happen there. But the defense is just, it's soft and it's awful. And it's so frustrating. And that's why it's frustrating, because we have the playmakers, and we have the guys across the board that can play. And everybody's going to be on the 6-6 year, right? And that was what almost everybody's prediction, 6-6, 7-5 during the year. But this one just hurts because you just feel like you should win this game. Or you feel like you should at least play better, right? Play under control and not give a game to another team. All right? You're playing a road game against an in-state school, and you just make so many mental errors. It's extremely frustrating. And I'm sure everybody else is feeling the same frustration. And I've said frustration about 100 times. But that's what it is. Kicking game, I don't know. I know they have the number one kicker in the country committed for next year, but that might be too late for Dave Doran at this point. I mean, if he continues to coach the way he coached this game, then there's going to be a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of tickets returned, a lot of questionable, I don't know. I can't justify the kicking game, right? Missed field goals, okay, they weren't awful kicks, they were just missed. But they're frustrating. I thought the kickoff coverage was really good, but the field goals were just horrendous. And then the fakes and everybody loves a fake if it's working, but NC State's career or historical conversion rate for fake punts and fake field goals has got to be pretty awful. I'm almost positive it's awful. Somebody can look at the numbers, but it's terrible. I'm just going to tell you it's terrible. I don't know. I think, the refs, I think there was an awful call on Mike Stevens on ECU's last drive. The pass interference. He played great defense. 3rd and something in the red zone. They probably would have kicked a field goal. It was an awful call, but, as we've been reminded for years, officiating doesn't affect the outcomes of games. Right? Carolina probably agrees with that after last week, right? I don't think so. I don't know. Three trips inside the 30. No points. All in all, not good. As Dustin said, we got Bukaki. I think the something's got to change with the defense. I don't know what it is. And I think Dorn's got to tighten up. I'm always curious people's opinions. So if you're listening and you want to tweet at us or email us or whatever, Dave Doran's talent level with Tom O'Brien's coaching. I'm curious what the outcome there would be, because I think Dave Doran has elevated the talent level. His execution, I think, is also just awful. At least today, it was just awful. I think historically it's been pretty bad. So there it is. Who do we get, right? Dustin asks questions, but you can hate on him, but who do you get? Hell if I know, right? I think Doran is not necessarily, I don't know, I can't say he's not the problem, because he was the problem this game. He was awful. But I think on the big picture, I don't think he's the problem. I'm starting to agree with Dustin more, and I think, I agree with him last year that Huxtable's schemes are awful. I guess I was hopeful that Doran would be a little bit more involved in defense and they would make the change they did in, I think it was 2014, when halfway through, you saw the defense get really aggressive and they were blitzing, and I thought they would maintain that, but they didn't do it last year and they're not doing it this year. I don't know. I'm still on the Kendall Briles bandwagon. I think he's fantastic. But I don't know. Sorry. I feel you, Wolfpack Nation. I feel your frustration. It's gonna be could be a long year. 6-6 as expected by many. I think my 8-4 is not looking so good. But here we are. I think it's another year of Wolfpack sports. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow. I got some tweets from people that they wanted me to read. When my mother asked, why don't we have kids? She just doesn't understand why I can't bring a pack baby into this world. That's at Preppy Bumpkin. Yeah, man, I feel ya. I was just tweeting earlier that days like today that make me hope that my child does not suffer the obsession of NC State athletics that I do. Because you're just setting yourself up for a lifetime of disappointment. It just feels that way. It's tough. Steven, too awesome. No more fake plays, please. We all know our success rate for those is extremely low. Yeah, that's what I just said. I agree with you. I think that's awful. Nathan M, bunch of numbers. Unacceptable loss. We should never play. For a game we should never play. And then, love the podcast. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I agree. Steve Logan had an interesting point on his radio show. I guess it was this morning, and maybe yesterday probably said the same thing. He's saying State and ECU should play every year so that the game doesn't mean anything. And we should just beat their ass every year because we should. But we're playing them every 5 years or 4 years, whatever it is. It just lets them get more and more hyped up for it. And I see his point. I don't know if anybody agrees with that. Just rather avoid him because this always happens. But I think that's all I got. Let me know on Dave Doran. I think everybody can feel that. Defense, frustrated. I'm pretty sure 90% of Wolfpack fans feel the same way. And it sucks. It sucks hard. So sorry everybody has to feel like this. Hopefully you can enjoy your weekend, and I don't know. something else happens that's more enjoyable. Anything, just avoid it. Drink if you have to. I don't know. I'm drinking a Guinness right now. I need it. All day I've been listening. Just, I don't know. Not looking forward to this game, and that's awful. But life moves on. This is sort of my venting, I guess. It helps me get over it quickly. I don't know. Curious what the rest of the season brings us. So that brings another Raw reaction. Very raw and very frustrated. But hope you guys enjoyed it, and talk to you guys Monday-ish when we record. Thanks.